Hello, thank you for tuning in. My name is Jen Camilla, and today I'd like to share with you the foundational pieces of what is becoming my working library. We'll discuss four main components, including my personal change method, my professional portfolio, my evidence library, and my resume. Let's begin by checking out my library's purpose and outcomes. Today, I hope to thoughtfully present my approach to organization development through a combination of my personal library of resources, professional portfolio of work, resume of skills, and my own self-developed change method. Now that this assignment is complete, I do feel as if I've reached the outcomes listed on the right. I'll show you that I have a strong collection of resources that continues to develop over time. I also have a comprehensive portfolio of work that demonstrates my proficiency and professionalism. I've also become very proud of my why and the beginnings of my change method. Throughout this program, this class, and this assignment, I've grown to understand myself. Although I'm the driver of my own library, there are many other people involved in building it. That includes people who send information on great articles or webcasts, and my boss and coworkers getting together to brainstorm the next big thing. My library keeps building because I constantly seek out new learning opportunities and consult people who I hope to be challenged by and learn from. I have to give one more shout out to Trello before I begin the next section. I really enjoy organizing my thoughts with this website and highly recommend it. Thanks, Taco from Trello. You're the best. It's the nature of the position that I'm in as an external OD practitioner that my library will just keep building. Completing Rokeach's Values Survey is a primary example of something valuable I've added to my library of resources. Let's dive into that next. I want to begin by discussing the order of my terminal values. Over the years, I've realized that true and meaningful connection with others is what I value the most. At the end of my life, I want to look back and say, I became wealthy in friendship. I surrounded myself with a sphere of people who share a true connection. From there, I value four more things above the rest: the freedom to explore, salvation from differing perspectives, the self-respect to accept myself for who I am, and the wisdom that comes from the first four. When I reached the instrumental values, I was struck by how powerful one stood out to me above the rest. When you read about Rokeach's values, you learn that these things may change over time. I can see how that's possible. I probably wouldn't have picked capability first if you had asked me before March 2nd, 2019. Now having the capability to do something is the most important instrumental value for me. That's quickly followed by intellect, ambition, independence, and self-control. From my point of view, if you lose the ability to have any one of those things, you'll quickly lose my first terminal value, which is true friendship. So, what's my life purpose? Well, I'm hoping you've already noticed that there's a theme coming together throughout these slides. The layered circles, the arrows, all point toward aiming and trajectory. That's it. I believe that everything is aiming, and when you aim right, you can slowly or quickly change the trajectory of your life. So then, if that's what I believe, it only makes sense for me to root my purpose within that belief. So my why, or my purpose, is to positively change the trajectory of people's lives. When I began to think about creating a change method, I thought about all the times I've struggled with feeling like I can see the solution to an emerging issue, but I don't want to just say, hey, listen, I know the answer, and I know I'm right, so let's do it this way. Also, when I read Dr. Shine's process consultation book, The True Helper resonated with me, and I began to formulate a plan for my method. What if there was a way to meaningfully ask questions in order to determine the solution to the root cause of an issue without it seeming like you just push to get your way? What if you could steer the direction of a conversation by asking questions to help someone understand their behavior better? My method is called intentional questioning, but recently I've also had thoughts about creating a suite of intentions methods, and I believe I could have things like intentional questioning, intentional harmony, and intentional humor just to begin. The possibilities are endless. The purpose of intentional questioning is to determine the root cause of an issue, strategically create the right solution, and preserve and build relationships along the way. John Ammett said that adventure isn't hanging off a rope on the side of a mountain. Adventure is an attitude we must apply to the day-to-day obstacles of life. That's the attitude I hope to empower people with using this change method. Take on the attitude of adventure as you question deeper to find the root cause or best solution to a problem. Take a look at the arrow on this page. We've seen it before on previous slides. It looks pretty bland, like a normal arrow, but did you notice that it's pointed at a target? Did you notice that all of the arrows in this presentation have been pointed at a target? The best way to explain my change method is through an arrow, because arrows are pointed toward targets and arrows change trajectory based on where the target is. In intentional questioning, there are people asking questions and there are people answering questions. The experience involves asking and answering a series of questions that ultimately guide the askers and the answerers toward a solution. The outcome should satisfy both the askers and the answerers. Then, the answer or outcome generated by those questions is pointed and shot toward the target. If they match, bullseye! We all win. If they don't, the scenario repeats itself. This method can be applied through any forum, whether it be in a big mahogany executive room or via Skype with a group in America and a group in Italy. What you need is the ability to be objective and to set your personal agenda aside. At its core, this change method asks you to work in the best interests of the organization or team and not yourself. Selflessness is key. Evidence is presented by the many perspectives that will share their answer to the intentional questions that are asked. Finally, you'll know you've mastered this method when you find that your intentional questioning effort is fruitful and you begin to get bullseye after bullseye. Remember, the purpose is to determine the root cause of an issue, strategically create the right solution, and preserve and build relationships along the way. Now that you've heard about my why and my change method, let me tell you about my dream job while you peruse my current job description as it's scrolling through the screen. In the first 1 to 2 years after graduating, I hope to be promoted to manager or senior manager. In the few years after that, I aspire to be a principal and then partner at the firm. Scota Menotti is a very entrepreneurial firm. Whatever you want to do, you can do it. That's one of the things I value. I also value that they truly mean it when they say you can make your schedule as long as you get your work done. The flexibility of my job has allowed me to coach and travel out to BG for grad school, and it's something I wouldn't trade. Maybe spoken like a true millennial, I want my resume to be a showcase of my whole life and not just my jobs. You should get a sense of what life is like for me at home, at work, and everywhere else. As my job and my life grow, my resume will only become richer and more full of meaning. It would be great to be the orchestra director, quote, of a team working to make small and large-scale change happen. That's the ultimate goal. First, make partner, then commence world peace. Isn't that how it goes? Capitalizing on the same goal as my resume, my portfolio is a colorful, image-filled display of my life in and out of work. I'm proud to share some examples of my work as well as direct you to the websites for my certifications and positions I hold outside of work. All the images in the portfolio can be clicked on to either show a sample of my work or direct you to the website for an organization I'm affiliated with. This portfolio is actively helping to land me the job I'm interested in. As I add to this portfolio, I accomplish my goals and I'm working my way up through the organization. The key components of my portfolio associated with work are the sample proposal included, which represents the proposals I designed for client work. It's represented by the Scota Menotti logo. And the University of Promise logo, which takes you to our course catalog. This is the body of curriculum I teach, and I've had a hand in designing most, if not all, of the courses. That's represented by the University of Promise logo in the middle. In order for me to keep advancing within Scota Menotti, my focus needs to be on achieving the metrics associated with each of the 6 competencies listed here. There are specific criteria at each level of the organization related to each of the competencies. Currently, I meet the senior staff and most of the manager criteria. My true OD library of resources is found in a couple places. I've created a table of the places I find the information, but then I store it in 3 main places. First, any great information that can be downloaded is stored in a folder on my network drive. I name it based on the content area it helps me with. Some examples are new hire orientation, university curriculum, or business development. Second, I store anything I find interesting on the internet in my Google Chrome bookmarks. Third, if I need to pull relevant statistics or small pieces of information ready for immediate use, I have a draft email saved in Outlook that I paste small tidbits of easily accessible information in. When it comes to print, there are a few books I reference quite a bit that have color-coded tabs. Each color represents what I need it for, whether it be a people issue, a process issue, or a technology issue. I like my system, but it is totally proprietary. You can't have it, nor do I think you would want it. And so now we conclude. I even created my own signature to be stamped on my future change method and anything else I can stamp my name on. I've mentioned before that aiming is everything. You're only going to be as good as how much effort you put into your aim. That's why I put a lot of effort into my library project, because now I can reference it. I can use it as a tool to help me adjust my aim towards something higher, farther, and then keep adjusting the trajectory so my arrow will reach its target. Thanks for attending target practice with me.